tere, mina olen Ott-Kaarel Purru Internationalist, olen Brainboxi tootejuht Eestis. Tore on näha teie huvi uute lahenduste ning toodete vastu. Küsimused võite julgelt jätta chati, vastame neile lõpus. Ed, the stage is yours.
Thank you very, very much. Hi everyone. So my name's Ed Roberts. I'm the EMEA Key Account Manager for a company called Brainboxes. Uh, very, very quick background on that. My job basically is to look after all of our key European distributors, of which I'm very, very grateful to be sat here and speaking to you all on one of our newest ones. One of the things we're doing at the moment as a company is we're trying to find kind of our brain boxes heroes in every nation all around Europe. And well, we feel we've really found one here. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give a fairly kind of top level overview of who Brainboxes are as a company, our product ranges, where we see our products being used more often than not, the key benefits of our products and why people choose them over others, and then some kind of case study examples of each product range and kind of a cool story for each one, then wrapping up with a kind of a where we're going in the future, what you can expect, product roadmap, that kind of thing. Like I say, it's top level. It is overview. The hope we'll have with this is it should encourage questions either to ask today or in the future. But it's really just to give a kind of informed introduction as to who Brainboxes are and what we do and how we can offer that to you moving forward. So with that, who are Brainboxes? So we are a designer and manufacturer of trusted connectivity products is the way we describe ourselves. We are based in Liverpool in the UK, founded in 1984. That photo on the side there, that's a photo of our founders. So on the side with the crazy curly hair and the wacky collar, that's Eamon. He founded the company with his friend Paul in the background with a funky 1980s tash, and his wife Jo, and the kid in the middle licking a PCB. That's Luke, who is now our managing director. So we're still very much a family-owned and operated company. We're still here in Liverpool. We've moved slightly from where we originally started, working out of uh, a kitchen and a back bedroom just around the corner from where George Harrison, one of the Beatles, was born. To we're now on the Liverpool International Business Park by John Lennon Airport. The key things that we always try and point out to our customers is the fact that as a company which is family owned and orientated, we like to think that it means we can really, really be trusted by our partners and by our end users, our customers. With our UK manufacturing, we like to think that we are making sure that there's kind of an extra level of care, attention, quality being kind of put into every bit of solder, every component, everything which is going onto the board. And ultimately, again, kind of rolling back to the being family owned and operated. At the end of the day, we're a family owned electrical engineering business. We really, really do care about what our products do for our customers. We care about where they go, and we're always very, very keen to support them. So with that, what are we actually supporting? The product portfolio. It can be kind of predominantly broken down into a few key groups, which I will go into more detail later. But on the whole, they are industrial network switches. That's the kind of a core of our range. So with that, it's an industrial Ethernet switch, but to a truly industrial spec. So we'll touch upon that later, but kind of going above and beyond what is expected from a more consumer product. Pure embedded Ethernet switches. So with that, it's tiny, tiny little Ethernet products to be embedded within to wider networking systems onto PCBs to be integrated into products for OEMs, things like that. IoT solutions. So with that, it's all about getting sensor data from point A to point B, monitoring, controlling applications. And then lastly, because of where the company has come from in the past and our expertise in serial, um, bringing that serial data into a more usable format. So a USB to serial product or an Ethernet to serial product. Again, this is just a quick introduction to the range so you can expect what to see over the coming slides, but we'll touch upon that more when I go through the case studies on each different type of product. But first of all, let's kind of drill into what we feel here at Brainboxes makes us a little bit different. What are the key benefits of a Brainboxes product? This is the slide whenever I'm giving these kind of presentations, this is the one which I always say to people, if there's one slide you're going to try and keep in your mind, if you're going to remember, or there's one which you're going to screenshot or take a photo of, this is the one. It's the one which we perceive really is where we stand out. So first and foremost, with that, any decision when it comes to specifying a piece of networking hardware is going to be price sensitive. With that, we've worked very, very hard to make sure we sit in a position where we are offering a truly industrial product for a more commercial price. With that, from a specification point of view, we always try and match ourselves to the equivalent of something like a Phoenix Contact or a Weidmuller product. So kind of real kind of top kind of 10, 15, 20% when it comes to product quality, but then offering it at a more commercial price, so noticeably more affordable than those type of products quite often. And with that specification, you're then looking at a wide temperature range, so -40 to +80. Obviously, I'm aware that it can get quite cold in Estonia, so -40 is potentially more useful to you than the +80. But it means that our products are being used all around the globe. I'll touch upon it as in one of the case studies later, but they're being used all the way from the Antarctic to the Atacama Desert because of that incredible wide temperature range. And with wide ranges, you've also got wide power input, so 5 to 30 volts DC. With that, it means that you can be sticking it on a conventional automation industrial panel with that range, but also by pulling it all the way down to 5 volts, you could be running it from something as simple as an automotive battery. We had a project at one point where our most consumer product, our most affordable 5-port industrial Ethernet switch, was being used on buses in Hong Kong to monitor occupation, people getting on and off the bus, and they were powering it straight off the battery without having any wider drain to applications, which was kind of a good example of how that lower range of the power input can really, really help a customer. Robust industrial design. So all of our products are IP20 rated when it comes to the case, but beyond that, you're then DIN rail mount, really, really robust and rigor testing, ensuring that everything is done to a level which we're really, really proud of. Eamon, our founder, he has an attitude that if it has our logo on it, it is our responsibility. He's at pains to almost tell us at times that our products are like our children. If you send a child out into the world, you need to make sure that you're doing the right thing to make sure that it is capable of doing what it needs to do. You need to be there to make sure it's good enough and then support it moving forward. So with that really robust level of design is kind of hard baked into the entire attitude and ethos of who Brainboxes are. And alongside that, we ensure that we are testing every single product that comes out of our production facility here in Liverpool. A lot of our competitors, they'll do batch testing. They'll pull off every 10th of a production run and they'll test that and they'll take it as a given. Every single product that comes out of our factory here in Liverpool has gone through rigorous testing and checks before it has even gone out to a distributor or a customer. And with that, we can get them out to a distributor and a customer. One of the benefits we have with ensuring that all of our manufacturing, all of our R&D, all of our purchasing, all our support is done in-house here in Liverpool, is where we can ensure really, really short lead times and a great reliability of supply. Now, I've worked for Brainboxes for I joined in September 2022. In that time, on our core range of products, I honestly cannot remember a time when we've had a lead time longer than around a month, and that's for volume as well. We are always ensuring that we're there, ready and nimble enough to respond to requests from a customer as quickly as possible. Um, Alongside that, we then always try and ensure that we have a proactive and honest attitude. We are a family-owned company. On a leadership level, we're all electrical engineers. We always make sure that we're trying to give a quick, honest, and useful answer to our customers as quickly as possible. Our focus is on the customer, their requirement, and what they um, are wanting to do. Um, it's not just about selling a product. It's not just about building sales of brain boxes. We want to be helping engineers do what they want to do and make sure that they're achieving their goals. And alongside that, there's then the fact that we offer a true lifetime support and lifetime warranty. With that, I mean, it literally is lifetime support. Whether you've bought one of our products yesterday or 10 years ago, we'll support you to the same level as whether you've just bought it just then. And with a lifetime warranty, it is a true lifetime warranty for the length of time that we are able to manufacture a product. We will offer a lifetime warranty on it. If you have any issues, you can get in touch with us. You can email us. You can phone us. We'll help you. And if it's in a position where it needs to be repaired or replaced, we will do that free of charge for you, no matter how long you've had the product. Again, if it has our logo on it, it's our responsibility. We want to be making sure we're doing everything we can to make sure that it's doing the job out in the field. So that's the key benefits. Like I said, that's the kind of if there's any slide in this presentation that I'd recommend kind of keeping in your mind, it's that one. That's why I've gone over it in a little bit more detail than I will some of the others, but I think it's really, really important to show the kind of the extra value that we like to offer to our partners and our customers. With that, then it's probably worth me explaining who we actually perceive our customers to be, who we are targeting when we're building these products. With that, the first thing to do is kind of understand where we see our product sits within an application. Our products are made with an industrial automation application in mind. They're designed to be going into a DIN rail enclosure. And ultimately, they're there to be linking in all sorts of different things. So what we're demonstrating here are the kinds of things that you may have in a panel. You may have, of course, a power supply, Ethernet cables, data cables, PLCs, actuators, sensors, etc., etc., etc. We, as a company, we like to think that our product is a really, really great flexible way of linking all of those different peripherals in a panel together. The goal of Brainboxes is just to get data from point A to point B as efficiently and as effectively as possible, and that's where our product would sit within a panel. And with that, then there's who are the actual customers. Now we went through a kind of a big process probably over the last 6-7 months of kind of trying to drill down who we see our key customers as being. So with that, hopefully, some of the people on the call today can already start to see where they maybe sit within these kind of 4 key sections. So we see that our key customers are the engineer, the purchaser, the researcher, and the creator. So with that, I'll explain where we see we gain business from those kinds of people approaching things in that way, doing those kind of jobs. So with the engineer, their focus is of course on reliability and robustness. An engineer wants to be able to install something and be able to trust that it will work. Um, with that, they really appreciate that our brain boxes have that industrial spec. They like the fact that they know that they can be setting it up in an application. They can do it once and they're not going to have to go back. With that, the key ranges, we see someone in an engineering kind of role using our network switches and our IoT products. With a purchaser, they like the short lead times, they like the competitive pricing. That covers our entire range. A researcher, someone who is potentially working in a scientific background, an educational background, something like that. They really like the fact that we offer that lifetime support and warranty. They like the fact that they can have a product and they can be asking us technical questions whenever they come across them. They can have this kind of ongoing dialogue and conversation with Brainboxes about how best to use our products and how it can help them with their application. Key ranges for them would be the IoT products and then the Ethernet serial products, getting serial data onto the network around the world. It's a great case study of that in a scientific environment coming up in a moment. And then lastly, the creator. So people working in a research and development application, people who are really doing groundbreaking work. They like the fact that a Brainboxes product is flexible and nimble. They like the fact that we offer them open source tools, that they're easy to configure. They like the fact that they can just get their hands on a Brainboxes product and they can make it work. They can make it fit to what they want to do. And with that, they really like the IoT and they like the pure embedded. So that's kind of a summary of kind of the key couple of things for different kind of customers where we perceive that we can help them. Of course, there's a going back to the key benefits. There's more stuff than there is there, but that's kind of just drilling it down into the key messaging that we see for those types of customers, why they choose Brainboxes over the competitors. So next, let's bring on to actually pulling into that product portfolio. Let's talk about what each of the product ranges really is, what it can do, and then a case study example, hopefully, which will inspire you as to what can be done and make it a little bit more memorable. So first of all, the industrial network switches. So this is the core of our business, is the fastest growing part of our business. One of the most exciting things about the network switches from our point of view at Brainboxes is we see about 80% of our industrial networking switches that we manufacture here in Liverpool in the UK go to export. Our biggest markets being Europe and the United States, and with that fairly evenly split. But the vast majority of the switches we are being made are not for a domestic market here in the UK. They are to go out to international customers from our point of view. Again, it's our biggest part of the range, so we'll go into it in a little bit more detail than we will the others. But first of all, with that, you've got within our industrial switch range, you've got different enclosure types. So you've got embedded products, you've got ones which are bare PCB. These are designed to be able to be integrated into wider applications. We see them being used extensively in things like electric vehicle charging stations, in CCTV and BMS applications, places where there's an existing maybe IP60 or some kind of enclosure, and they need to have some networking within the panel, within the enclosure. The space is really tight, so they need to have the networking, but they don't need an enclosure because it's already in something which is going to protect it, and they don't need to be DINRA mounted, etc. But they still need that networking. It's a great way of being able to add that Ethernet into a system and getting it kind of right into the bare bones of it. You've then got our light industrial products. So these are kind of our, we see them as kind of our consumer products. So with those, there are the same level of kind of usability and operability and function as our industrial products, but it's in a slightly more affordable form factor, basically. With the industrial ones, they're the ones we've touched upon in a little bit more detail earlier, but they're the ones which have got the DIN rail enclosure. They've got dual redundant power supply. They're the ones which we see, these kind of yellow ones on the bottom left-hand side of the screen. That's our biggest sellers, those kinds of products. They're the ones which we perceive to be kind of the ones we're most well known for. They're the kind of the ones which we see moving forward. We'd like to think are going to be moving most effectively with yourselves. That's the one where we're really, really a sweet spot when it comes to the specification on them, but then the price as well. And then beyond that, you've then got our hardened steel offerings as well. So they're for ones which are going to be they're designed to go into a, a system and application where there's maybe more risk of them being out to the elements. So that wider kind of strength, rigidity, hardness to a product means that they are able to survive in those kind of applications. So that's the enclosure types. With that, you've then got the technology types. So you've got standard 10100 fast Ethernet. You've got gigabit for the kind of wider bandwidth. You've got more data on a network. You're going to need a faster speed to be able to get all of that data through. You've got power over Ethernet to be able to kind of combine that data line and that power to a periphery. And then you've got fiber optic, sending something super fast over super long distances. And then within that, you've got a variety of different combinations of the different ones. So you could have a gigabit switch, which is also power over Ethernet. You could have a gigabit switch, which is also fiber optic, etc., etc. So you've got loads and loads of flexibility and options there to find a product which is going to be bespoke and perfect for an application. And speaking of applications, the case study we're showcasing on this at the moment is the way that our sort of those power over Ethernet gigabit switches have been used to help vision systems, most specifically in biotech manufacturing. So the lead case study we had with this was in a medicinal factory in Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland. They wanted to add some new forms of monitoring on the line. They wanted to do it with an AI vision system, so where they could be doing machine learning on the application, but they wanted to make sure that there was as little human interaction as possible. They wanted to make sure that people weren't having to go in and engage with it off their own backs, but they also wanted to make sure that it was flexible. So by using a Brainboxes power over Ethernet and gigabit switch, where you've got that fast data transfer, but also that power going to the camera for the vision system, they were able to achieve this. It's a kind of a good example, we feel, of showing how you can have an engineer who's got an idea, they know what they want to achieve, and kind of pulling back from that, then by doing kind of trusted and effective networking, they can make it happen. Ultimately, in these kind of applications, it doesn't matter how good the idea is, you need the data to be getting to where you want it to be in as efficient a way as possible. And this is, we feel, like a really good example of that. Next, we have our pure embedded Ethernet switches. So these are the tiny, tiny, tiny little products. So with these, they're kind of either 5 or 8 port switches, both 10100 and gigabit. They are 50 millimeters square. So they're about half the size of a standard business card. With that, the idea is pulling back to the embedded products we had on the last. Yeah, so with these, it's basically how do you get a small amount of space used, but still having networking within a application. The example we use for this is a company called Pivotal Systems, which are in California. We worked with them to develop a product straight off the back. They came to us with a problem, and as a family-owned engineering company, we love a problem. We love a customer coming to us with a bit of a challenge, and they came to us asking, "How small can you make a 5-port Ethernet switch?" So we worked with them to develop this system, which is there to monitor the gas flow on semiconductor manufacturing. But really, from our point of view, it was a great R&D process to see how small we could actually make all of our products. We're now seeing it's being used very, very heavily in robotics, in things like UAVs and drones, in wider automated systems. But it's a really, really kind of an exciting growth market for us, and we're really proud of where it's moving. The IoT solutions next. So with this is about getting sensor data off a system and interrogating it, or sending information out to actuators. It's about getting those ones and zeros, getting that information, making sure what you're doing, what you want to do with it, and then moving it on to where it wants to go. With that, we have products which can be supporting digital signals, analog signals, and then temperature as well. So you've got a wide array of products there. Um, but it's all from our point of view, it's just about making sure that the data is getting from point A to point B. We have worked very hard to make sure it's as simple a process to use these products as possible, to make sure that an engineer is being able to, as much as possible, just plug it in, get it wired up, get it set up, and then they're getting the data they want and they're sending it to where it needs to be. And this was, I mean, in fairness, my personal favorite case study of ours. These products were used by the British Antarctic Survey on the Halley 6 Research Centre, which is that's based on the Wendell Sea ice shelf in Antarctica. They used the products to monitor the power generation on the base because of a crack in the ice shelf. The base is now unmanned 9 months of the year. They've been using our product for about 5 years now, and they're sending data all the way from the Antarctic back to their headquarters right at the University of Cambridge. Um, when it comes to remote monitoring and remote IO, to give an idea of how truly extremely remote this is, the nearest human beings to our products are 9 months of the year. Kind of, if you were to take a straight line, are the people on the International Space Station directly up from them. That's how remote these products are. And they've been working for 5 years in these incredibly hostile remote environment, sending data back to University of Cambridge. It's one which we're really, really proud of, but for obvious reasons. But it we like to think it also demonstrates a case of if it can work in those kind of applications, it can work in a more conventional industrial automation setting. Um, on the IoT solutions as well, you've also then got our industrial gateway. So this is our Brainboxes BB400 product. It's powered by a Raspberry Pi and a Arduino. So it's got a Raspberry Pi on there, which is running the compute side of it, and Arduino, which is running the remote IO side of it. It's in essence, a really, really great, flexible Linux industrial PC using that Pi format, but in a truly industrial environment, kind of using all of those key benefits we talked about earlier to be able to data log, do compute power on the edge. It's a really, really brilliant flexible product. And the best example we have at the moment, although we get exciting kind of stories about this on a regular basis, is a way that a car parts manufacturer here in the UK has used these products to create an industrial energy monitoring application within their factory. So they are pulling all of the energy usage of all of their machines in the factory and feeding it into our products to be able to then log that data, process that data, and present it on dashboards all around the factory. With that, they're being able to understand that how much energy they're using. They're also being able to decide how much it is costing them, and they're also being able to know what the carbon footprint is of that energy usage. It's meant that they've been able to get to a point where they're actually being able to factor that into their quoting cycles. And it's kind of been a really, really great kind of next step along their kind of digital twin IoT journey. But from our point of view, the way that they've used our products, the way that they've been able to use it to process and make sense of a huge, huge, huge amount of data has been really quite inspiring to see. Next, as we kind of pull on to the last two groups of our products, these are the serial-based ones. So just quickly, I'll explain why Brainboxes are so good when it comes to serial products. So we as a business, when we were founded in 1984, we were originally an IT manufacturer, really more than anything. We for probably about half of our kind of existence as a business, our specialty and our main business was in making serial cards to go inside PCs. So we've been working at the forefront of serial communications for 40 years, where a lot of our competitors, a lot of other manufacturers have kind of let serial move to the wayside and they've stopped focusing on serial. Because we know just how important it is to quite a lot of engineers, and because it is somewhere where we have a expertise, we've always kept focus on making sure that those kind of more legacy protocol types, communication types are still being able to be used. So with USB to serial, that is about how you get serial data onto something more local via USB. So a great example of that is the way that our products are used by um, global leaders like Coca-Cola and Bosch, the way that they use it as part of their diagnostics process. So their diagnostics engineers will have a USB to serial product, and they will use it for, if they've got a product where the only way they can engage with it, a machine where they can only way they can get data off it is through serial, they can plug in a Brainbox's USB to serial product, they can link it into the laptop, and they can be pulling that data off. I remember once I had a really fascinating visit to one of the Bosch factories in Germany about the USB to serial products they use of ours, and he described it as being as much part of his toolbox as a screwdriver, which really kind of it summed up for me and our managing director when we were on the visit of what we want them to be. It's a really, really just trusted tool for the engineer who's on the factory floor. And along that, you've then got the kind of the next step with serial, which is an Ethernet serial. So rather than taking that old school serial data and putting it onto something which is more local, it's about how do you take that serial data and get it onto the network so it can then be viewed anywhere in the world. How do you take a historic local networking protocol like serial and make it something which is ready for the modern world, basically? And a fantastic case study we have with that is the work that Professor Catherine Blundell from the University of Oxford has done as part of her Global Jet Watch project. Catherine, to give an idea of kind of just how groundbreaking her work is, so she's now, so she's the Emeritus Professor of Physics at Oxford. Which is a title people are given for life. It started with Sir Isaac Newton. So she's got the same title as Sir Isaac Newton, which is incredible. But her work is she has a series of observatories all around the world. At any given time, one of them will be in complete darkness, and they're observing black holes. And they are looking for jets of energy being emitted, being sent out from black holes. And they managed to get the first imagery of these things. First time we've been able to get any proper data off these. And I mean, unbelievable, groundbreaking physics, and opens up all sorts of fascinating questions of if black holes aren't just pulling in energy and matter, they're also sending out matter. Where did that matter come from? All sorts of geeky, amazing physics about it. But the core kind of hardware networking backbone of observatories is our Brainboxes Ethernet serial products. All of the data which is coming off the telescopes all around the world is going through our Brainboxes products. So all that groundbreaking research, all that incredible data is being fed through our products. And last time I was able to go and visit one of the observatories and have a conversation with Catherine, she summed up for me brilliantly why they chose Brainboxes. And in fairness, it's something which I think really, really kind of helps demonstrate kind of a lot of kind of the things I've spoken about in this kind of potted journey through the portfolio, which is why I leave this one till last. Is she made the point of any research or any scientific application, the requirement on the hardware is incredibly high. The expectations they have on it is that it not only needs to work and work well, it needs to work better than anything else if they're going to select it. The financial restraints on groundbreaking research are incredibly tight. The way that they need to be able to justify what they're purchasing, why they're purchasing it, how they're purchasing it is incredibly high, higher than any other sector. And then the support they need is it goes above and beyond a more conventional customer. They need to be able to talk to the engineers. They need to talk to the people who manufactured the products, who designed the product, who came up with the products in the first place, because what they're going to be doing with them is going to be very bespoke, very, very unique. And on all of those different things, whether it was the specification, the price, or support, we came out on top when they were doing their research. So a bit like with the products in the Antarctic and the way that we feel if it can work there, it can work anywhere. If we've been able to kind of be selected and validated by going through all of that incredibly difficult process that Catherine had to go through to use our products on this amazing research project, we feel it can work for any application really. And then lastly, as a kind of a final wrap up, our product roadmap. So as a family-owned business, we know that really you're only as good as your last product. Just like I'm sure a lot of the people on the call today know, you're only as good as your last project. You're only as good as the job you did for your last customer. So the focus is always on moving forward. It's always on what's coming next. Where are we going to fit within the market in the next 6, 12, 24, 36 months? How are we going to be positioning ourselves as we step forward, as we continue to grow into the market? So with that, the product roadmap for the rest of 2026 is pretty extensive, to be honest. And the focus we've had across all of the products is the fact that AI is going to be coming into the manufacturing environment, just as it's kind of stepped into all sorts of other aspects of our lives. One of the next places it's going to start really, really having huge impact is within factories, within industrial automation. And it's going to be a real kind of exciting disruptor within the market. With that, the way that we've seen our position within that kind of development is AI as a kind of a blanket term is unbelievably data hungry. AI as a concept needs far more data than a conventional automation solution. So the need to get that data to wherever that processing is being done, wherever that AI model is running, is even more important. So it's how do we create products which are going to be even more than what we've had up until this point, making sure that that data is getting there so that groundbreaking work can be done with it. So with that, you've got an expansion of our consumer range, bringing out 16 port variants of that, making sure that kind of the foundation, the base of our products are going to be expanding and helping people there. We're having even smaller embedded Ethernet products coming out, making sure that people can be integrating our products even smaller, so we can be fitting that gap between a conventional embedded product and the chipset even more, supporting more engineers in that sense, expanding the power over Ethernet, the gigabit and the fiber optic ranges, making sure that the flexibility is growing even more for the engineer there, introducing rack mount products for the first time, making sure that we're building on that point, we're adding more ports, more opportunities. As automation gets increasingly data heavy, you're going to have more and more connections, more and more Ethernet cables, more and more Ethernet ports, making sure we've got products which are going to be able to supporting engineers with that. And then lastly, managed network switches. As cybersecurity and the cyber resilience becomes a greater focus for companies, making sure that we have got products which are going to be able to support them and adding that intelligent networking for them. Intelligence networking, whilst not making something which is incredibly expensive, because an awful lot of the managed network switches on the market at the moment are very, very, very expensive. So making sure that we're still kind of in that position which we know we occupy so well on the unmanaged products, of a great spec but an affordable price, but adding that onto the managed range. So loads and loads and loads of products which are going to be coming out over the coming months. So loads of new opportunities for us to be helping engineers, loads of opportunities for us to be introducing new products to our partners, like we're supporting here today. But also loads of opportunities for yourselves on the call to potentially be able to use Brainboxes in new and different ways moving forward. So even though I've been going through kind of a very, very wide range of products already, and it is an awful lot of information to take in all at once, there's going to be even more chances that we might be able to help people moving forward, which from my point of view, as someone who my motivation is to just make sure that I'm doing what I can to assist and help engineers and help customers. The wider the range, the more chance we have to be useful for people. So yeah, that is kind of very kind of brief in a way overview of Brainboxes. Like I said, I appreciate it is a lot of information, even though we've kept it top level. With any questions which come from it, any things which it makes you think, is there something they could do there? If it's given you food for thought that there might be applications where our products might be able to help, get in touch with YE, get in touch with ourselves. We'll be very, very, very happy to have a conversation, see if we can help you. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to let me introduce Brainboxes to you. We really, really, really appreciate it. And thanks. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day. Thanks.
Thank you, Ed. Tänan kõigile, kes tulid kuulama. Küsimuste korral kirjutage, helistage.